Welcome back to Streamline Investigations. It is Marvin speaking. This is the mystery surrounding the disappearance of Gus Lamont by ABC News in Death, and it's talking to neighbours in the area. And it's quite interesting, to be honest with me. It makes some good points, but if I do stop the video, it's just to make a comment, people. Thank you.
The pictures that we paint of the vastness of Australia perhaps just don't hit home enough. The people up there love it, but some people from the city and communities don't. They think it's just endless nothing.
It's been almost 4 weeks since Gus Lamont disappeared from his family's property 40 kilometres south of Yunta in South Australia's outback. Despite 2 extensive searches in and around the 6,000 hectare property, almost no sign of the 4-year-old has been found. Ruth Whittle has been the mayor of Peterborough, the area's major community centre, for 34 years.
If you have a conversation over a coffee or in the supermarket or down the street, someone mentions it sooner or later. Somebody talks about the latest news that we've heard, either on the radio or the TV. We're all holding our breath, hoping that day by day something is going to happen.
A major search is underway for the child who police say wandered away from his family home.
He'd been playing in the sand outside his home when his grandmother went to check on him about 5 o'clock late Saturday.
So they looked around the area until they actually called emergency services.
Our hearts are aching and we are holding on to hope that he will be found and returned safely.
Community and SES volunteers joined a full-scale police search of the property where he lived with his grandparents, mum and 1-year-old brother. Fleur Tiver's family owns a neighbouring property. She joined the search once she heard the news.
They are absolutely just in shock, exhausted. These are some of the best people you would ever find anywhere.
But are they? Because, like I said, yeah, they probably are nice people, but the problem is they weren't keeping an eye on a 4-year-old who went missing, to be honest with you. So you've got to take that into consideration. I know she's probably a long-serving family friend, but like I said, you've got to look at the facts from the outsider. From the outside, they should have been looking after him properly, or keeping and checking him maybe every couple of minutes or 5 minutes. Not a half hour, because like I said, half hour, if he was taken by someone in theory, then it is worrying, because 30 minutes can be a long time for someone to get a head start. And then 3 hours to phone the police? Iffy, very iffy. 4-year-old
They're the sort of people that you need as your neighbours because they are honest, reliable, trustworthy.
The search for Gus has come in fits and starts. Last week, police abandoned their second search. The only evidence that's been found is a child's boot print, 500 metres from home.
I can't imagine what they're feeling, but...
Well, that's worrying as well, because you've got to remember that it was just one footprint. But the police have written it off. Maybe it wasn't Gus's, to be honest, just one. Where was the other footprints? Yes, I know you get wind and basically dust, which could cover tracks. I understand that, but don't forget that an Aboriginal tracker out there who thinks that basically footprint could be a week old or something.
Uncertainty is always the worst, isn't it? They don't know where he is, how he is, if they'll ever find him, and that has got to be the absolute worst thing that could happen to anyone.
Keith Noble has lived in the area all his life and knows the missing boy's family.
Well, that's something that's got me beat, how a little 4-year-old could get too far away from the place before they found traces of him has got me beat.
Until you're out in this station country, it's hard to get a sense of the scale of the place and the isolation. We're currently just northeast of the property, about 45 minutes drive from Yunta, and we've barely seen another vehicle. Just goats, sheep, birds and the occasional kangaroo.
It's a huge area, and yet no evidence has been found, even though there's been a very detailed and lengthy search by police and other experts to try and locate Gus. So this is a particularly unusual case that they've searched for so long, and yet nothing has been discovered to indicate where Gus may be.
Police say they're investigating all the circumstances surrounding the 4-year-old's disappearance.
I think we've learnt in this country from other missing child investigations, namely William Tyrrell, that all of the potential scenarios, so misadventure and third-party involvement, have to be considered from the beginning. So they would be running all lines of inquiry simultaneously until the evidence dictates which of those is most likely.
Investigators say there's no evidence to suggest that a stranger took Gus. They say it would have been hard for someone to go unnoticed, given they would have had to travel along a dirt road and through a number of gates before reaching the property.
That's right. That is correct as well. But we know that there is a neighbouring, basically, airstrip, which is not far away as well. And like I said, one of the theories which have come up in many people talking about it is basically maybe a friend or friends came over to the home because there was a big football game going on. Is that a possibility? A stranger, which, many people deeply look into this case has possibly said as well. But we've just got to put every avenue out there, because we just cannot let this case go cold. Even though I am from the UK and Ali, we are very much invested in this case. But people are right. You can only put out what we actually know. Do you know what I mean? Through the police and investigators, the news.
There is no evidence to suggest any other circumstances that might have resulted in Gus not being located. There is nothing to suggest foul play.
Criminologist Dr. Anthony Mallet says cases like the disappearance of Gus Lamont are rare, and that the investigation is more challenging because of its remote location.
So they won't have cell tower data, for example. They won't have CCTV. They won't have dash cams to rely on. So there's less evidence to collect in that technological form, and there may also be less witnesses. So in a very remote area, it can be particularly problematic for police.
Police have called off the search for Gus but continue to investigate his disappearance. Back in Yunta, Fleur Tiver says she won't give up.
So we hope he is alive, and we haven't given up hope. We know he's out there somewhere. We just need to find him.
For me, at the present moment, it's a mystery. I can't see what they're going to do about it.
Yeah, that was from ABC News in depth, and I thought it was a brilliant article. It's good to hear from the neighbours, and that the news are still obviously keeping this case out there of missing Gus Lamont, who went missing. It's weird. September the 27th. I mean, it'll be 4 weeks on Saturday, people. Very, very worrying indeed. The criminologist made some good points. Obviously, third party, no CCTV, hardly any witnesses. And this is what makes this case very, very difficult to work out. People have mentioned he may have had an accident and it on the property and it covered up. And like I said, someone mentioned, how do I know whether that property's been searched? I don't. But you would have thought the police would have actually mentioned the property being searched and basically forensically tested. I personally, if you ask me, this is my theory, I don't think that's happened, because the police have said that they don't think this is criminal at any point, which is quite odd, really, because like I said, it's a missing 4-year-old boy, unless the police know something that we don't. Let me know what you think, people. I thought it was an interesting news. Sadly, this case is going a bit cold, and I must admit, and like I said, I don't want to keep putting things out there that's already been put out there unless it's really important. But like I said, I promised basically the people in Australia, New Zealand, and thereabouts that I would keep discussing this case as much as possible. But like I said, ABC News made a brilliant video there, and we have heard from a criminologist who basically said we cannot write off foul play or third-party intervention. Let me know what you think, people. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Investigations and follow the channel. Appreciate you. Thanks.